In a mysterious room, Alderson wakes up with no idea how he got there. The room is a cube and each side has a door. He is also wearing a uniform with his name on it. Alderson opens one wall and looks through a short hallway, discovering that the next room is identical to his. When he steps back, the door automatically closes. Next, he tries the door on the floor and finds another identical room. The same thing happens with another wall, so he decides to move forward. In this room, Alderson looks around before taking a step, then suddenly gets sliced into pieces by a grid of razor-sharp wires. After a while, Quentin moves into another room and finds a man sleeping. He tries to wake him but fails. Then he opens a wall but finds nothing in the next room. When he turns back, Worth finally wakes up. At that moment, they hear a noise from the next room and Quentin gets ready. The wall door opens and Holloway appears. Quentin immediately grabs her and throws her to the floor. He is about to hit her but she screams and he realizes she is another victim, so he apologizes and lets her go. Suddenly, they hear someone calling for help. Quentin opens a door and finds Levin in the next room. She is about to cross into their room but Quentin tells her to stop. After quickly checking the area, he steps into her room and helps her cross the hallway to join the others. During that moment, her glasses fall and crack. Then a hatch in the ceiling opens, revealing Ren climbing down to join them. Quentin tells the group they cannot escape by moving carelessly because there are traps, and explains that when he looked into the room below he almost died. Holloway notices blood coming from Worth's head and checks his wound, explaining that she is a doctor. Ren takes off one of his boots and throws it into the next room. A trap is immediately triggered and burns the boot, from which he concludes there are motion sensors on the walls. Quentin asks if anyone remembers how they got there but no one does. They were all living their normal lives before blacking out and waking up here in these uniforms. While strange mechanical noises echo from above, the group discusses what to do. Levin suggests they should stay and wait for rescue. However, Worth believes no one is coming for them. Most agree they should find a way out themselves. When Levin starts to panic, Quentin reassures her and explains that he is a police officer, promising to keep her safe. Ren throws his boot into another room and nothing happens, so they move into it. They repeat this process several times, while the strange mechanical sounds seem to get closer. While crossing one of the hallways, Levin notices a small plate and puts on her glasses to read it. There are numbers on it and each room has a different plate. The group hopes this does not mean there are more than 500 million rooms. Holloway points out they can only survive 3 days in these conditions without food and water. Ren reveals he has been keeping a button in his mouth and tells her to do the same, because it helps maintain saliva. A few cubes later, he stops the group from entering the next room. The boot is fine, but he notices the air inside is extremely dry, so he suspects there is a molecular chemical sensor detecting hydrogen from the skin. He also reveals he knows all this because he is an expert in sensors. Quentin realizes he is the infamous escape artist who broke out of 7 prisons. Ren confirms it and admits he is only cooperating because he might need their shoes later. But if they act stupid, he will leave them behind. After a blunt speech about staying focused, Ren tests another room with his boot and steps through the hallway. He lands safely on the other side, but a second later a device sprays acid into his face. The door has already closed, so Quentin opens it again and Ren stumbles back with his skin melting. His body twitches for a moment before he finally dies. If Ren's boot-throwing plan does not always work, they need to rethink everything. Quentin points out that he is a police officer. Ren was an escape artist and Holloway is a doctor, so everyone must have a reason for being brought here. However, Levin says she is just a college student and Worth has a boring office job. Holloway starts complaining that they were taken from their homes and stripped of everything. She laments losing her jewelry, and Quentin realizes they took everything except Levin's glasses. He concludes they left them on purpose so she could read, and asks if she studies math. Levin puts on her glasses and begins reading the plates. She also remembers the numbers from each room they passed. This helps her realize that prime numbers only appear in rooms with traps. Levin chooses the only path without prime numbers and crosses safely, confirming her theory. Guided by Levin, the group continues moving from room to room without triggering any traps. After about 9 or 10 hours, they are still trapped and feel like they have made no progress. Holloway starts breaking down, so Quentin talks to her to distract her. She does not want to talk about her job, so she asks about his family. He shares that he has 3 children and is separated from his wife. The group moves into the next room and Levin cannot find the correct numbers on the walls or the floor. That means the next door is on the ceiling. Quentin climbs up to open it, but suddenly Kazan falls on top of them. He presses his forehead against the wall while making strange hand gestures. Holloway realizes he is autistic and promises to take care of him. Hours pass as they continue moving from room to room using the numbers. They discuss theories about the strange structure. Holloway believes the military built it. Quentin thinks it might be some twisted entertainment created by a billionaire. Holloway mocks the idea before stepping into the next room. Suddenly, she cannot breathe and Kazan starts screaming, thinking she is dying. However, she only swallowed the button by accident and quickly recovered. When Levin finds the next set of numbers, Worth disagrees with her. Quentin trusts Levin more, so he moves forward. Only when Levin shouts for him to stop does he realize he is surrounded by razor wires. He jumps back just before the trap closes, though he still gets a cut on his leg. Kazan starts screaming again and stays in the previous room while the others regroup with Quentin. Since it is hard to hear anything over Kazan's screams, Quentin sends Worth back to take care of him. After that, he tells Levin and Holloway that he suspects Worth, because he knew that was not the correct room. When Worth returns with Kazan, the group decides to rest since Levin's system is no longer reliable. Levin begins doing calculations while Kazan urinates in a corner. Worth seems amused by everything, and Quentin criticizes him for his constant negative attitude. An argument breaks out. Quentin points out that if nothing matters, Worth might as well jump into a random room. This finally pushes Worth over the edge. He shouts that there is no way out. He knows this because he was hired to design the outer shell of the structure, but nothing more. They only asked for a hollow cubic frame. Worth never left his office. They only called him and gave instructions without ever revealing their identity. Quentin is skeptical, but Holloway explains that this is how secretive organizations operate to maintain anonymity. They keep each employee separated so no one knows too much. She begins criticizing the system and the government. However, Worth believes it is a flawed project with no real leadership, only something that looks like a grand design. He suggests that no one is actually watching them, and that this is just an abandoned project still being maintained by a few employees collecting paychecks. He concludes that everything is meaningless, pushing the group into a kind of philosophical despair. When Worth mocks Quentin, the police officer finally snaps and starts beating him. Levin stops him and reminds him that they need Worth because he is the only one with any useful information. Then she starts questioning him, and he tells her the size of the cube and that there is only one exit, but he does not know where it is. She walks around the room making calculations, comparing them with the dimensions Worth provided. Eventually, she concludes that there are 17,576 rooms. After thinking further, Levin realizes the numbers are encoded coordinates, commonly used in three-dimensional graphs. This means the numbers act like latitude and longitude on a map, showing their position inside the cube. After a quick calculation, she tells the group they are only 7 rooms away from the outer edge. The group starts moving back and Quentin decides that Worth will go first to test for traps. While moving through the next passage, Levin finds strange coordinates because they seem to point outside the cube, yet they are still trapped inside. When they finally reach the outer edge, they open the door on the floor while Kazan keeps repeating the word trap. Just as he predicted, they see spikes appear on the walls of the next room, triggered by sound. It seems this edge room has traps in every direction, so they have to go back. Quentin refuses, believing they have to cross the room anyway or they will never make progress. Another argument breaks out, and eventually they agree to move forward. After explaining to Kazan that he must stay silent, Quentin lowers Worth into the room. When they hear the mechanical noise again, Worth opens the door next door and tests it with a boot. Nothing happens, so the others begin climbing down as well. Kazan accidentally steps on the floor hatch and his pants get caught, but Holloway manages to keep him quiet and free him without making noise. Now only Quentin remains. He moves carefully as the floor hatch begins to open. Everyone freezes as it makes a sound, but it does not trigger the trap. Kazan accidentally makes an excited noise, and Quentin has to jump quickly into the next room, avoiding the trap at the last second. Furious, he starts yelling at Kazan, accusing him of putting everyone in danger. Holloway shouts back at him, criticizing his abuse of authority. Another argument begins. Quentin insists Holloway should be grateful to the police for protecting the city. She responds that this attitude is exactly why his wife left him. He slaps her, just as Worth opens the next door, and they all react with excitement when they find the outer shell. The space is too dark to see anything and there is nothing on the walls to climb. Quentin decides to make a rope by tying together their clothes, saying he will swing across. Levin points out that he is too heavy and offers to go instead since she is the lightest, but they need her for calculations. Holloway volunteers. While the others hold the improvised rope, Holloway carefully climbs down the outer wall. When she reaches the end of the rope, she begins to swing, trying to reach the opposite wall. Suddenly, the room begins to shake, causing the group to lose its grip on the rope. Quentin quickly jumps down into the passage to grab it. Levin and Worth hold onto his legs to keep him steady, and Holloway climbs back up until she grabs Quentin's hand. At that moment, his expression changes. She screams just before he lets go, sending her falling into the deadly void. When Quentin climbs back inside, he pretends it was an accident. He wants to keep moving, but Levin is on the verge of breaking down, so Worth convinces him to rest for a while. They decide to sleep, and Quentin waits until everyone is unconscious before stealing Worth's boot. Then he wakes Levin and leads her into the next room. He believes that without the others, she can focus better. Things quickly turn disturbing as he starts rambling about them being the key, touching her inappropriately and saying they are a man and a woman, like two halves of an equation. Levin immediately tries to run away, but Quentin easily catches her and tries to drag her into another room. Suddenly, Worth rushes in and knocks him down, freeing Levin. When Kazan wakes up and joins them, Quentin begins another rant, claiming the others are spies and continues insulting Holloway. This makes Levin realize he was the one who let her fall, so she and Worth tell him to leave them alone. Quentin throws the boot at Worth, knocking him down, then starts beating him with a crazed expression. After that, he throws Worth through the floor hatch. To everyone's surprise, Worth just starts laughing. The three of them climb down and discover they have returned to the room with Ren's body, meaning they have been moving in a circle. Quentin panics and demands to know where they are, shoving Levin toward the numbers. Levin says she does not know and shouts at him, pointing out that he has done nothing useful. Overwhelmed by despair, Quentin admits that Worth was right. There is no escape. While he breaks down, Worth remembers that Ren died in the next room. He looks through and sees nothing there, meaning they are back at the outer edge. This makes no sense because Ren entered a room, not an empty void. Quentin thinks he is wasting time and throws the boot at him, sending it over the edge. Worth ignores him and continues, explaining that they are not moving in a circle. The rooms themselves have been shifting the entire time. This explains the strange mechanical noises and vibrations. Levin realizes he is right, and together they examine the plates again. They conclude that the numbers represent all the coordinates the rooms have passed through. The room with coordinates outside the cube must be the bridge to the entrance. They could not see the exit because it moved away. They need to return to that room and wait until it comes back to its original position to escape. Levin performs a series of calculations using the numbers around them, and concludes that the rooms will return to their original positions after 2 more shifts. Quentin wants to move, but the problem of traps remains. Levin realizes the traps are determined by powers of prime numbers, values too large for her to calculate mentally. An argument begins, but they are interrupted by Kazan, who solves the equation instantly. It turns out he is an autistic savant with incredible mental calculation abilities. After he answers, Quentin throws Worth into the next room without warning. No trap is triggered, so they continue moving with Kazan leading the way. Quentin keeps complaining and says they are not moving fast enough. As a result, his head gets caught when a door slams shut on his neck. Levin and Kazan run to check the other doors, while Worth takes the opportunity to push Quentin back and close the door. After that, he tells Levin to check the floor hatch and steps aside while Quentin reopens the door to chase them. Suddenly, Worth opens the hatch beneath him and Quentin falls through, hitting his head hard enough to start bleeding. Now the three of them can continue without his violent behavior holding them back. A few cubes later, they reach the outer edge again and have to step aside as a room slides down into place. It lands right in front of them, confirming their earlier theory. Levin and Worth move into the next room, but before Kazan can follow, the rooms shift again and he is carried away. They can hear him screaming nearby, so Worth moves through several rooms to find him. However, Kazan is terrified and refuses to move. Meanwhile, Levin steps on something sharp and finds a broken piece from her glasses, meaning they are back at the starting point and should have never left. Just as she said before, she urges the others to hurry. After that, Worth promises Kazan a lot of candy, finally convincing him to move. The three reunite just before the room shifts again. Levin checks the door but finds nothing, so they wait for the next movement. When the room shakes again, they move into the next one and Kazan searches for the correct numbers. When he opens the right door, they finally see sunlight. However, Worth refuses to leave, saying he no longer has any reason to live and that nothing but endless human stupidity awaits outside. Levin tries to comfort him, but is suddenly stabbed in the chest. Quentin has returned, using the door handle as a weapon to kill her. Worth furiously attacks him and the two men begin to fight, but Quentin quickly stabs him as well, leaving him badly wounded. The room starts to shake again, so Kazan opens the exit and steps outside. Quentin tries to follow, but Worth grabs his leg and holds him back. As the room shifts, Quentin is crushed to death. Worth collapses and crawls over to die beside Levin, while Kazan walks forward into the light, toward his freedom.